There's been a lot of discourse going around lately on booktube, this question of, am I buying too many books? There is a general tendency, I think, towards moderation, avoiding an acquisitional urge to just turn the habit of reading into the consumption of the purchasing of books without actually delving deep into the contents themselves. And that is a sentiment that I have myself expressed on this channel earlier. But I just wanted to bring a different perspective. I want to argue that, yes, you should buy more books. Okay, there's two exceptions in which you should not buy more books. They are both pretty self-evident. But I'll just very briefly gloss these two reasons not to buy books, and we'll get them out the way. First of all, if you are buying books just to appear well-read, if you want to signify erudition and learnedness without any actual intention of reading those books that you buy at some point in your life, then, I mean, that's just superficial, vapid, shallow. You're free to do it. I think if you make videos in which you want to appear learned, you won't get away with it for long, because I think the people that watch booktube videos are generally well-read and smart individuals, and at some point the facade will crumble. Like you can't keep up appearances for so long. The second point is, of course, don't bankrupt yourself buying books that you can't afford. None of us should walk out of a bookshop with that trickle of existential threat, feeling like, I've spent more than I'm comfortable spending. I've never done that before, right? Yeah, of course I have done that. So obviously don't take this argument I'm making to its logical extreme, that you should spend every penny you have on books. Obviously not. But my argument is that as a book lover, we want a thriving book industry and publishing industry. Yeah, if you only buy your books from Amazon, if you only buy major, conglomerate publishers like Penguin, Random House, Vintage, and that sort of thing, yeah, there's an argument to be made for being more conscious of supporting grassroots publishing, smaller to medium-sized publishers, of course, bookshops themselves, bricks and mortar bookshops, and second-hand booksellers. So there are many ways that you can buy books and actually support the ecology of publishing and the bookish world. Of course, it would be hypocritical for me to say don't buy from Penguin or Vintage, because obviously, for anyone who watches this channel often enough, you know that I talk a lot about Penguin classics. If you want to direct your ire towards, giant companies that are causing harm in the world, I think there's many doors at which to lay your contempt before pointing an accusing finger at Penguin. My point is to not only buy Penguin classics, like you can also seek out independent publishers, smaller presses that are bringing out of print works in the public domain back into print, or supporting up-and-coming contemporary writers. Penguin classics have given us bookish people so much joy, and I'm not going to deny that. I really appreciate the fact that Penguin exists, bestowing affordable classics on the world, and for that I am very grateful. If you want to keep that world thriving as readers, which of course we do, then you should actually invest in it. Of course, like, everyone has different economic levels or at different stages of their careers, and there's ways to do that smartly. So that's just the point I wanted to make. If we all stopped buying books, publishing industry would collapse, and so I just wanted to make that small but I think quite important point, that yes, you should buy books. We should keep this thing going, and you're going to spend your money somehow. I remember a few years ago lamenting to a friend who was visiting when I was living in France a few years ago, and we'd just been to Shakespeare and Company, which is just this incredible bastion of independent book selling, and it's got an illustrious history of publishing and lending books to many esteemed writers of the 20th century. So if you ever find yourself in Paris, go and check out Shakespeare and Company. It has become a bit of an institution that is very busy most of the time now, and probably has it must be one of the most lucrative bookshops in the world. I really think it must be. But, it's independently owned. It has a long, rich history of supporting authors. And so I was in France. I was living in France at the time. I'd just been to Shakespeare and Company and bought like a bucket load of books with a friend. And I said to her, gosh, I really am addicted to buying books. And she was like, yeah, but you know what? Some people are addicted to drugs. Some people are addicted to, fast fashion, or, McDonald's, or smoking, or drinking, or, a million things that are objectively bad for you and for the world. And that you're addicted to literature, to books, it's just not a bad thing. You shouldn't be ashamed of it. And that always stuck with me. So I'm more conscious of my book buying now that I have a small son, and I want to provide everything that he needs for his future. Of course, have in mind the idea that one day you're going to read them. Buy paper books from small and medium publishers. With these platforms, they can change the ownership. They can edit these books to take out unpleasant, outdated cultural elements. And I think that is really doing a disservice to history as well. We're trying to sanitize history in a way that is harmful for the ability to think and decipher good ideas from bad ideas. It's something that doesn't happen, or is not a risk when you buy, paperbacks or hardcover editions of books. I just want to end off by going through my library and just going through a few smaller, lesser-known publishers. Some of them are sort of more medium size, some of them are really small, that I think have standards of literary excellence and are worth investing in. Fantastic, passionate, bookish people like ourselves, dedicated to bringing literature into the world, whether it's contemporary or, classics that have entered the public domain.
First up, we've got the New York Review of Books, exceptional press that do amazing non-fiction and fiction, classic and contemporary. Got here T.H. White's The Goshawk, which is a good example of the kind of work they do. Next, I've got Wave Books. I've got Maggie Nelson's Bluets. Again, Wave Books have a sterling reputation as being a very dependable publisher of quite experimental work, and highly recommend them. Do check them out. And next, I've got the very distinctive blue and white, the very understated livery of Fitzcarraldo editions. I've got here Ben Lerner's monograph on poetics, The Hatred of Poetry, which I bought at the Shakespeare and Company in Paris. And yeah, Fitzcarraldo they're really doing an amazing job. I mean, they've published some pretty big names in recent times. Next, I've got Zero Books, and I've got Mark Fisher's Capitalist Realism. I believe that Fisher was himself one of the founding editors of this press that focus primarily on theory and philosophy, but I have never felt disappointed by one of their books. Highly recommend. Then we've got the Copper Canyon Press. This is a dutifully esteemed American poetry press. I've got Matthew Zapruder's Father's Day here, and Copper Canyon Press. I've got at least a dozen of their books, and always am very impressed by their work. Next, I've got Pierre Hummel, Geen Recept. Pierre is a local Rotterdam poet who actually collaborated with my partner, Noortje Stortelder, on a sculpture for the city of Rotterdam a few years ago, and this is her latest collection by the Rotterdam publisher Fetish for Poetry. Very good stuff, just really resonant and zingy and playful in all the best ways. Next, I've got Arlene Carney Hume's latest collection of poems from the Hedgehog Poetry Press. Now, I have to admit that I'm not completely objective here. Hedgehog Poetry published 3 of my books of poems, and you can see all of the care and attention they put into every edition with the tidbits and bookmarks and buttons. And here's my second collection, Open Letters to the Sky, came out in 2022. And yeah, I mean, Mark Davidson is an editor extraordinaire, so please do check out Hedgehog if you're interested in poetry. Next, I've got Lauren Connor's Autumn Sun. This is a book of sort of fragmented diary jottings from the musician Lauren Connors, and published by Blank Forms Editions. It's the only book of theirs I've read, but yeah, very, very good quality. It has a wonderful feel to it, and yeah, I'm curious about more of their work. Next, I've got Radical. Now, this is a phenomenal luxe, big, full-color thing. It is an anthology of underrated women artists of the modernist era across many mediums, with very thoroughgoing critical assessments of their work or re-evaluations of their work. And it's actually co-edited by one of my neighbors, Evelien Scheltinger. and it is brought out by a Viennese museum, Belvedere, and it was part of a tour across museums that they did. Just yeah, very good stuff. Highly recommend checking this out if you're interested in modernism. And then lastly, we'll end off here with the Anxiety Press, and this is the debut novel by a good friend of mine, Alex Sinclair, called Dead Orchid. Yeah, he's just a very exciting up-and-coming writer, extraordinarily gruesome and gritty, but yeah, with very strong voice elements in his work, and I'm happy to see that it got picked up by the Anxiety Press, who are a publisher, you know, with a really strong reputation for up-and-coming fiction writers. So yeah, he's actually got his second novel is going to be coming out in the not too distant future, and I'm quite proud to be a part of his editorial team for that. So yeah, do check out the Anxiety Press as well.
Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think about this issue, and do you think I have a valid point in saying let's buy more books, let's not bleed, let's not suffocate the already struggling publishing industry.